Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Clueless 8, and this is the end of the day report for June 10th, 2014. Tonight, we're going to cover the technology sector and some of the stocks that we trade in that particular arena. On separate days, starting tomorrow, I'm going to cover the biotech arena and then the financials, and then a couple of retail, restaurants, and things like that as we move forward. So let's take a look at Aapl. I've explained you the rules of the game, how to read these charts. This dotted line is the 34 moving average, 34 day or 34 week in this case. The red line is the 50. These crossovers are extremely critical. When they cross over, this is the start of a multi-week type of run. And show that to you. This is the stochastics, overbought above here, oversold down here. So obviously time to buy would be from an oversold basis, which most people don't. And time to sell would be as we get into this overbought arena and trying to find the timing when to just, get out of the game and sell or short. This is the Bollinger Band. These orange line, this line here, and then this line moving up. This band here, you have the mid Bollinger here, and these are the pivot points, which I explained earlier on. So that's pretty much the parameters. So let's look at let's look at Aapl. Big name stock. What's going on with the market? Pulling the NDX 100 and the Nasdaq higher. So Aapl looks like it wants to go to 100. It's really as simple as that. Now, how it's going to get there, I can't give you exact times or so, but I think it gets there by the end of the month, or maybe sooner. And once it gets to 100, probably overshoots a little bit, and then it pulls back. What kind of pullback can we see? We can do Fibonacci retracements. Probably gets down and tests out the 86 level. That'll be a very extreme scenario. There'll be a 14% pullback on the stock. So, I don't think so. But then, what do I know? You could very well come down and test 90, 93, where we are right now, around 90. What did we close at today? We closed at around 95. So 100 is the mark, and I think that's the game to play. It's a perfect pattern symmetry, and this is what I need everyone to concentrate on. Try to read this pattern. It's like art appreciation. You have to know what you're looking at. Let's say you knew nothing about this company. You just looked at this chart. What do you think it's doing? It's simply retracing back exactly what it had lost since the week of September 17, 2012. There's not too much analytics involved in understanding this, okay? So that's Aapl for you. This was the large cup, multi-year cup. This was the handle. And this was the earnings breakout. As you all know, most people know, if you followed me on Stock Twits, that I did show the possibility of this massive breakout of this large cup and handle. And since then, this thing has gone parabolic. So, end of story. That's short reading. Let's take a look at the next one. The next one is Googl, one of my favorites. Why? Because it hasn't caught up yet. Let's look at the stochastics down here. This will kind of explain what's going on. These stochastics are clearly telling me, and again, anything can happen, but just based on experience and based on technicals, these internals are telling me that it is far from overbought. It's barely at 49, and it wants to get up here, up in the 80s and 90s. So for that to happen, Googl has to get up above the 600 level. Can it happen? I think sure can happen, unless something dramatically negative happens on Googl. They bought a satellite company, so big deal. This is simply a consolidation day here, down $2 or whatever it was, and this little flag needs to resolve itself up. The pivots are here in the green. You can read it yourself. These are the red lines you have to watch out for on the downside. If it breaks through this equilateral triangle that it's trading in, it's very geometric, right? So here's a geometric triangle. If it breaks below the 34, the dotted line at 556, we're going to be in trouble, and we can short the stock all the way down to 518. If it continues to stay within the triangle and take out 580, then we are going to be looking at all-time highs. Pretty simple. This is what gives me the top pick designation when I put it up there, because I still think that this can move up. Now if this starts to crawl down, all bets change. I'll alert people and we'll move from there. But so far on a weekly basis, Google looks higher. And these are the pivot points, okay? 572, 583, and of course the upper Bollinger is always there. I don't know if I want to be that bullish at 622. So let's move on to the next one. Let's move on to Amazon. Picked this up the other day and just ran with it. I haven't really heard anyone really recommend this stock in any big way. So again, smart money shows its dumb face, as I like to say. And where are we right now? We have broken through the downtrend channel. We're kind of testing it. We are getting overbought, but there's room to move up. Stochastics, both these lines have to move up here. Simple stuff. Pivots are this. The green line is 338.71. Over 338.71, the next pivot is 348.17. And then, of course, you can see where it goes. Touching the downward sloping Bollinger is 385, and if for some reason it gets there, that's a pretty nice run. That's 50 points from here. I'll take 10 points, forget about 50. And if it gets to the highs, then it's obviously 400 plus. Whichever the case, it is starting to get overbought, but it's still got room to move. So do keep an eye on Amazon. And this downtrend line breakout, convincing breakout, would be somewhere around 342, and above that there's a lot of shorts that cover and a lot of buyers that come in. Let's take a look at Nflx. Nflx at this point, I believe, is overbought. Probably put some room to move here. Very powerful stock. Did call Nflx the other day, and from that point on, I believe the stock is up. About 40 points or so. So again, this minor pullback that Nflx had yesterday was a buying opportunity. I did alert it. That I just did say that this reversal, time to get in. This was on the real-time Twitter feed late in the afternoon, and obviously today paid the bills. That's just the way it works. At this point, it might hesitate here. I have absolutely no idea, but this shows some exhaustion, and there was a red bar here, so there was some selling involved on a weekly basis, mind you. This is not a daily chart. However, if the pattern symmetry continues, then we are going to see 461, and then if it really shoots up, it's going to go to 480. Nflx is a powerful stock, a lot of growth in the company, and shorts seem to pile up on it, institutional shorts, and they simply keep on getting toasted, for a better choice of words. So do keep an eye on Nflx. Great trading stock, and very volatile too. But no signs of any major damage till this line starts to curl down. Let's take a look at Priceline. People seem to be quite scared of it. I think this is a terrific consolidation flag. Of course, Priceline moves in leaps and bounds. So from 1293, down to 1219, 1217, almost 80 points. Is something to be really scared about? I don't know. As a technician, I'm looking at the internals. The internals are telling me the stock is very oversold, and every single time that it gets this oversold, it tends to have a bounce. Now, unless something dramatically is wrong going on within Nflx, I really wouldn't know. But at this point, from a technical basis, I believe the stock finds a home here at the mid Bollinger, which is somewhere around the 1218, 1220 level. And then we have this. This is a daily chart, mind you. Let me go weekly, because I'm showing all the other ones weekly. On the weekly chart, really, there's no damage done. The 34-week moving average is 1187. Seems quite a sharp drop, but if that happens, then obviously we're going to be in trouble. We are starting to see a little bit of consolidation here. So going back to the daily for traders, mind you. For traders on the daily, I believe that we can basically find a home around here because it's deeply oversold. Bounce up possibly to is a 1270 level, 1280. That's what I've been highlighting. and we might even get to the 1291 level. Top of the Bollinger is 1318, and that's also should be under consideration. Let's move on quickly to LinkedIn. This is a great chart. Things just starting to move. Everything is on go. Did highlight this today. Great trading play. Did extremely well. If it touches the base of this 34, that's 195. Enough, enough macro fundamentals which justify this type of move. Again, a high beta stock, so be careful. But hey, this is a high risk, high trade type of situation. So this is not GE. Stochastics are looking good, and Nflx is definitely in play. So the first stop I think is going to be somewhere around 178.36, and then we move from there. On the downside, you know what the lines are: 152, and then of course the lows. Let's take a quick look at Twtr, one of my perennial favorites here. I've called it right so many times. It's terrific. This is a great buy here. It was a great buy at 30. Now it's at 35. Big deal. I feel that it gets to the 23 fib. I put the fib lines here, which is around 39, which also happens to be a gap fill if you look at it on a different time frame. I've showed that on my charts previously. So dig through and you can see it. And so again, touching the, if we move this here, I believe it's going to test about 40 bucks. And after that, it might very well go up and test the 50-day at 52, but that might take some time. But we're looking good here. These internals are just starting to shape up, and again, unless we get up here and get extreme overbought, this thing will continue to move. Downside is somewhat limited. Just do the simple math. You got 30 as the low. This is at 35, and then you got 76 as the highs. This is the rocket science to figure out that it might very well get towards 40, possibly higher. Let's take a look at Facebook. Another great mover today. Facebook hired the big shot from PayPal. Great move on the stock. I've showed this stock many weeks ago and even last week, and it's pretty much going there. I think Facebook goes to about $70. The options are definitely in play. It is somewhat getting overbought on a weekly basis. However, overbought can stay overbought, as you can see here on this run, and back in the first part of the year. So again, don't be scared just because it's moved up like this. Might consolidate a little bit, come down a buck or two, but I think 70 is in the cards. Very strong moving averages up here. However, still somewhat on the overbought side. BIDU, it's getting up there. Very strong move. Just follow the pivots. The pivots are 177, and then you get to about 182. Haven't really played this lately, but it looks good. Getting overbought conditions here, so wouldn't be a great risk reward play at this point, but does have the power to move up. So just follow these. Move your cursor up. 181. I don't think there's that much upside, but what do I know again? SPLK, love this type of scenario. Here we have stocks which have been demolished. Again, don't get too much into fundamentals and all kinds of stuff, because you know what, the biggest names, analysts on Wall Street, are wrong 90% of the time. So if you tie your hand at it, then you can imagine how wrong you would be. So let's keep the fundamentals at that. Just look at the pivots. This gap, I believe, gets filled around 48 bucks. Again, $5, $6, $7 plays on these options are terrific money makers, and I think it gets back towards about 51. Once it crosses over 34 week moving average, this is the daily I'm looking at, so I'll keep it on daily actually. Then, because it's a newer IPO, that's why. Then it can get towards about the 50-day moving average, 53. Over this, it's going to be a massive short squeeze into the 60s. Low, the downside is somewhat limited, and you can clearly see that internals are not overbought. They're starting to move up, and that's a good sign. Let's take a look at the last three. This would be FireEye. Again, a great pattern here. I like this a lot. It's starting to get overbought, but still has a bunch of days left in the move. I think it gets to about 39, 40 bucks. Again, the 34 needs to curl up, cross over the 50. That's when the uptrend is resumed. But this is a this is good. I like these downtrodden type of good companies, and I think they're very much in a highly demanded sector, um, and this looks like it could very well get towards the $40 range. Again, the weekly calls are the way to go. Let's take a look at Stratasys 3D printers, and this is again looking very good. Just starting the move up. I'm the buyer of this tomorrow. Stock crosses over 94. That would be over the 34 week moving average. This is a daily. I'm sorry, 34 day moving average, and this is the 50 here at 97. I think it can get to about 110. This is my gut feeling. Everything's starting to shape up here. Pivots are right here, so you can see what it needs to do. It needs to cross over 95 to validate itself, and then we are looking at 106. So again, weekly calls on this, the way to play, and of course you can buy the common. Let's look at ISRG. These are very aggressive plays. These are patient plays, so unless you're ready to stomach the ups and downs, please don't play ISRG. But once it starts moving, there's a fat gap here at around 417, 400 to 417. Big movers. Tomorrow, major conferences. Let's see what happens. I'll be on the alert. And again, I know this is not for the faint of heart. So, I like the pattern symmetry. Look at these pivot points, pivot lines here, and look what happened the last couple of times. So that's what I have to see. I'm not asking for the stock to go up to 550. All I'm simply saying is that we can very easily go into the 400s, and that would be nice 30, 40, 50 point moves. And again, that's a serious amount of money. Let's look at the last one, which is pharmacyclics. Okay. And again, I think this is a possible takeover play. I've been playing it from all the way down here, as you know. Nice accumulation candles here on the volume. Haven't not overbought yet. I still think the stock can get up to about 109, 110, and again, this is a very volatile stock, so keep it in mind that it can easily drop into the 90s. So it's I think it goes. I think it gets to about 110, and the internals are justifying it, volume accumulation, all kinds of good stuff. So that's it for tonight. Hopefully all the new members got to understand some of my thinking and my thoughts, and of course I'll be expanding on that a lot more as we go forward. Please keep a very sharp eye on the real-time intraday updates, and have a great evening. Thank you.